Now, Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
7:07 on WMAL, where it comes to talk. Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, and on the line is our good friend Shannon Bream, who's the Supreme Court correspondent for your Fox News channel. And Shannon, how are you?
Great. Good morning, Brian.
I thought we would start out this morning because, you got this big Obamacare ruling coming down from the Supreme Court any day now. It's expected between now and the end of the month. I think most people agree. Wouldn't be a surprise if it happened any time. But we thought it might be helpful in advance of that to sort of go through a tick-tock of how this wall will come down, how reporters learn about that there's going to be a ruling, just sort of walk through the process of what will happen on that day.
Well, it's interesting. We get a little bit of heads-up notice that the court is going to issue opinions, but they never tell us which ones are coming. And right now there are 15-plus that are still outstanding. And, of course, the health care is, to most folks, the most important. It grabs the most headlines, so it's the biggest one. But we do think it'll probably come at the end of the term, as late as possible. We know on Monday they are issuing opinions again, so that's the first real date unless something breaking news happened. Monday would be the first opportunity for us to get it, but we really think it would be the next week or so. Traditionally, this term would end June 25th, which is a week from Monday, but we're getting hints from the court that it may add time. It may add days to the end of the term, so we may be pushing into maybe the 1st of July possibly.
When you say you're getting hints, can you give us a suggestion of what those hints are like?
Well, when you have a chance to talk to folks, a couple of justices, different people associated with the court, and say, are we going to end on June 25th? And you sort of get the pause, be prepared to go a little bit longer. We may add a day or two or three, and it's not a specific bit of guidance, but it's a good bit of guidance.
It's a sense you get from talking to people.
Yeah, that we maybe go beyond the 25th.
All right. Let me try and clarify this because sometimes I'm a little slow, Shannon. So it's a possibility that on Monday they will release some rulings this Monday, but we don't know what cases those will be.
Right, they never tell us which ones we're getting.
Okay, and it's also possible that we may not find out this month. It may actually go into July.
I think that would be pushing it. I mean, the sense that I get is by end of June, the court wants to have business wrapped up. So I don't think we'll get actually into July. Anything is possible, but I think probably that last week of June, we may be pushing into the end of that week.
And now, I have on occasion been at the Supreme Court, on rare occasions, when they handed down rulings. And the hardest thing, Shannon, and I want to know how you do this, is that you've got this very convoluted ruling from the high court, and yet they want you on camera right now. And how do you handle that? Because you have to be able to decipher very quickly.
Right.
And it's not like the Supreme Court gives you an executive summary.
Right. This is going to be the toughest one that I've done for sure since I've been covering the court, because there are multiple issues within the health care case itself. It's actually 4 different issues. And then within those, you could have multiple splits of opinions, and it's going to be a big challenge. There's no easy way to put it. I mean, you want to be first, but you want to be right. More importantly, is the rule where we are at Fox. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge, and rather than begin spewing out information and telling people things that aren't correct, it's going to take a little bit of time. But I truly anticipate that we would be handed something that's easily in the realm of 200 to 300 pages.
Yeah, so that's going to take a while to go through. Now, how do you prep for that?
Well, I've gone over a lot of my notes and the original reporting from the days that I was in the court, the 3 days of arguments. And, you can't take in anything, not a cell phone, not a tape recorder, nothing. So you're going on your handwritten notes of what happened and who said what, and you get a transcript later. But for me, those notes where you have your own impressions as things are being spoken and the inflection of someone's voice, it's very important. So just trying to go through all of that and say, take a deep breath. People are anxious to know what's going on, but it's important that you get it right for the first time for them.
But how does it happen? Do they put you? Does everybody get into a room? All the reporters go into a room and they just drop a whole bunch of papers on you? Is it done electronically? It's just
there's a press room, and they're actually locked little cases. And everybody lines up. There are 2 lines in there because you have print and TV and radio, and anybody and folks from around the world will be there. And so you wait. They unlatch the case. The justices are actually sitting on the bench in the courtroom, and they will read a portion of the opinion as it comes. And rarely, but when somebody is very passionate about their dissent, they will actually read part of their dissent from the bench as well. But as that's going on, they're handing you the physical copy, and you don't usually stick around to hear what they have to say if you have to be on camera in 30 seconds. You just take it, wear your running shoes, and take off for the cameras.
Yeah, I've always found that when you have a big decision coming down from the Supreme Court, the information that initially comes out, let's just put it kindly, gets refined as you go forward.
There's a sifting process.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is that because there are so many of us who are there and who regularly cover the court, we often yell back and forth to each other, hey, did you see page 75, XYZ, and trying to help each other get through it and discern it as you're trying to get it to your particular media outlet and to your audience at the same time. So there's a bit of camaraderie there in that everybody wants to be first, but you also want to make sure everybody's getting it right. All
right. Basically, you have a couple of different things that could happen, though, right? The court says, hey, it's constitutional, it stands, it's fine, right? That can happen.
Yes, absolutely.
They could say the individual mandate is unconstitutional, but the other part can stand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the third would be court says the mandate is unconstitutional. Some other things are unconstitutional as well, but maybe not the entire bill. Is that a possibility?
It is possible, and the impression that I got from the argument days is that even if they do strike down the mandate, the court is very, very hesitant to strike down an entire bill, an entire law, something that Congress has crafted. They very much view it as what it is, a co-equal branch of government. So I think that if they do strike down the mandate, my guess would be they will take a scalpel to the law rather than just a meat cleaver. I mean, they're going to want to save as much of it as they can.
Okay.
I got that sense across the board.
All right. And besides the ruling on health care, what are the other big cases that the Supreme Court is going to be ruling on?
Well, one that invoked the hottest response I've ever seen at the court was the SB 1070, the Arizona immigration law.
Okay.
It was crazy during health care, but I got to tell you, the crowd was much more heated during that particular case. Governor Jan Brewer, Arizona governor, as she came out of the courthouse, had security with her, as you'd imagine, but I've never seen a crowd envelop someone and be yelling and be jostling and to have a very real worry that somebody was going to get hurt in the middle of that. It certainly invokes a lot of passion on both sides, and that'll be a big one as well.
All right. That's fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating.
Thank you so much for the insight. It was really interesting. We appreciate it, Shannon.